Big Ben, the alias for the official name, Great Bell, stands in a neo-Gothic style building. It is London's greatest tourist landmark, as well as one of Europe's main postcards. Nearly everyone knows the image, which constantly appears in books, magazines, movies, and TV shows. The world-famous bell was built at the Palace of Westminster in 1859 in central London. While Big Ben is originally the bell's name, people often refer to the Great Clock as a whole when they talk about it. Two different versions may explain the name. One claims that Big Ben was the moniker of a boxer named Benjamin CAUNT, a big, stocky man who weighed 400 pounds. The other version says that there was once a parliamentary meeting to choose the name of the watch. On this occasion, a man named Sir Benjamin Hall, the first Baron of Landover, a tall, large figure whose nickname was Big Ben, made a speech. One parliamentarian was inspired by him, saying that this moniker should be given to the watch. In both cases, anyway, the word Ben would be an abbreviation of the name Benjamin. Big Ben is housed atop a tower in the Abbey, which was called the Clock Tower until 2012, and has now been renamed the Elizabeth Tower. The bell weighs 13 tons and is the world's third largest clock, while certainly being the most famous. Its hands measure 2.7 and 4.7 meters. The clock has 4 faces and is the world's second largest 4-sided clock, second only to the Minneapolis City Hall clock in the United States of America. The base of the clock has Domine salvam fac reginam nostram victoriam primum, written in Latin, which means, Lord, keep our Queen Victoria first safe. This inscription refers to Queen Victoria, the monarch at the time the big well was built. There is a long stairway inside, comprising 334 steps that lead up to the tower's top. The bell was crafted in the English capital in 1858 by a foundry company called Whitechapel Bell Foundry, founded in 1570 and terminated in 2017. Its structure was inspired by the wish to make innovations in the Palace of Westminster, where it stands. There had been a fire there in 1834, so the idea of renovating the part of the building that was not destroyed was born. Charles Barry was the project's architect, and Edmund Beckett Dennison was initially responsible for the design, but his technique was not sufficiently adequate. The bell broke after it was ready. The fragments were handed over to a man named George Mears, whose name is written on the bell and who owned Whitechapel Bell Foundry. He undertook the design and then brought the bell to life, which was approved by Dennison himself. The melting metal took 20 minutes to fill the mold in the casting process. A total of 20 days was spent solidifying in the mold. Once all this process was completed, the bell was brought from the factory to Parliament, transported by a 16-horse carriage. While the bell was in transit, some roads had to be closed, and a public holiday was introduced on that day. This was certainly a historic moment for the City of London. It has rung every hour since then. And, besides the celebrated Big Ben, there are smaller bells that ring every 15 minutes at the Elizabeth Tower. The first time the bell rang was on July the 11th, 1859, 11 days after the clock tower was unveiled. Any structure or historical object always holds its stories. Some curious events have already happened at Big Ben. On one occasion, the clock was set back 5 minutes because birds landed on its hand. There have been 2 special instances in which the striking of the clock was different. The first dates back to February the 15th, 1952, when the clock struck an incredible 56 times during the funeral of King George VI, who died at the age of 56. In 2012, on July the 27th, it rang for 3 minutes to herald the opening of the Summer Olympics that year. Since July the 11th, 1859, when it first rang, the chimes of the bell have been broadcast daily by BBC Radio. In 1962, at the turn of the year, Big Ben was delayed by 10 minutes. But, despite this event, the clock is quite accurate and one of the culprits of the British citizens' reputation for punctuality. Twice the clock has stopped ticking. The first was during the First World War, and the second, in the year 2017, during a repair. In World War II, despite all the strain England was under, the clock continued to strike normally. although the lights were turned off. The Big Ben attracts thousands of tourists to its surroundings every day, who come eager to catch its famous chimes.